I've driven by this sign countless times in my life, but never really thought about what it really means. After completing this muckraking project, I will never look at the sign the same way again. My project focuses on the environmental injustices in the Bay Area, specifically in South San Francisco. This area is unique in San Francisco because, as the sign says, South San Francisco is in a way its own city within the city. It has been the site of industry for over 100 years. This is where the shipyards are, and this was where the largest PG&E plant in California was. All of these industries have had and continue to have an environmental impact on South San Francisco and consequently the Bay Area. Hunters Point and Bayview make up the main area in the southernmost area of San Francisco. Hunters Point and Bayview have been described as hotbeds of environmental injustice in the United States. What is environmental injustice? Environmental injustice is defined as unfair treatment of a group of people, such as that they bear a disproportionate share of the negative environmental consequences resulting from industrial or commercial business. I interviewed Somerset Perry, an environmental lawyer with the DA's office in Sacramento, and asked if he believed in environmental injustice. Do you believe in the concept of environmental justice?
Yeah, I do. I think that the way our society works, it's often the case that less privileged communities are subjected to basically worse environmental outcomes, and that kind of the stuff that hurts the environment is often situated near less privileged communities, and that they're the ones that have to deal with kind of the worst outputs of our economy in terms of harming the environment. So I think that environmental justice is necessary to address that.
Environmental injustice is similar to what we learned in class about unfair working conditions in the late 1800s. As you know, Teddy Roosevelt's Square Deal emphasized the idea that the rights of workers should be balanced with the rights of corporations. Many companies have not taken the pollution problem in low-income communities seriously, which has led to health problems for the people living around the industries. Hunters Point is the site of what was the biggest PG&E power plant in the state of California and one of the oldest. When it was finally shut down in 2006, it was already 75 years old. Residents in the community had been fighting for years to close the plant because they felt that it was dangerous to their health to have such an old, huge power plant right in the middle of the residential area. Research did show that residents in the area had much higher rates of asthma than other areas in the city or the state, and the smoke from the power plant was believed to be the cause. I interviewed Marie Harrison, a community leader from Green Action.
California to agree to shut the power plant down. And when other groups got tired and they stepped away, it was just Green Action. But for me, it was worth it because I tell everybody, I did have a vested interest in getting them shut down. So just as long as you know, it wasn't about the job getting them shut down, it's because truly I needed to see them gone because the lives that they destroyed were tremendous. In the building that my grandson lived in, there were 6 units in one building. Every other house had someone who had asthma, bronchitis, or a child that was sick with something. So, and the buildings go up the hill, up the hill, up the hill, up the hill.
To get a better understanding of the history of these health problems in Hunters Point, I visited the Hunters Point Environmental Center and spoke with the health educators there. So, asthma is a unique health problem in this area, Bayview.
Yeah, there's, I wish I had some of my notes here ready for you. But asthma is, it's 1 in 7 children here in Hunters Point have asthma. And when we go into the classes, I've been doing this for a really long time here in Bayview. And I never stop being surprised when we ask the class. Usually one of the first questions that we ask the class is, how many of you have asthma? And several of the kids will raise their hand But when we ask the question, how many of you know someone with asthma, a friend or a relative, every single child will raise their hand. It's so pervasive, and it's really important for them to learn about asthma, even if they don't have it, because they can help a child or even a family member.
Through all the community activism, there has been enormous progress, and the PG&E plant is in the last phases of cleanup. I had a tour of the plant with Janet Nadeau, who is a stakeholder engagement leader. She works with the community to educate them about the plant and address their concerns. I asked her what toxins were most dangerous, and she said petroleum for the power plant could be in the underground pipeline. They can't dig the whole pipeline up because it is under businesses and residential areas, so they are capping it instead and treating the groundwater with a chemical oxidant that breaks down the petroleum. They also built barrier walls to keep the chemicals from migrating to the bay. They also have to deal with serpentine rock, which is all around the area, which has asbestos in it. I also spoke with Andrea Gooden, another stakeholder engagement leader at PG&E, about the cleanup and asked her about the dangers at the site. And what do you think are the most difficult and dangerous chemicals to clean up?
Well, I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
But what you should know is that there's something called NOAA, naturally occurring asbestos.
Okay.
So as a child growing up in Hunters Point, my dad used to take us down to the water and we'd throw rocks in the water, and there was a rock and I used to collect rocks. And one of those that I thought was really pretty was a rock that had asbestos in it.
Huh.
The black rock, and you can probably find this somewhere online, and it had a nice white, it was actually asbestos running through it. And I thought it was just marble or something, really pretty black rock. Well, that's kind of a natural occurring, when they say naturally occurring, it's throughout San Francisco. And so when you're kicking that up or you're exposed to it over a pretty long period of time in order to create something unhealthy. But so what we've had to do is really institute during the cleanup phase stringent rules for dust control.
Okay.
So so we would have these very conservative triggers. So if it reached a certain level of dust, then we would stop the work. But that never happened. I mean, we publish those every day on our website.
While PG&E appears to be an excellent example of the success of community activism and a model for how communities can put pressure on big businesses to take environmental justice seriously, the Navy shipyard story does not appear to be so positive. I spoke with Liza Tucker from Consumer Watchdog about current problems with the Navy shipyard cleanup. While multiple PG&E representatives called me back and even took me on a tour of the cleanup, I could not get anyone from the Navy to respond to my calls, and it seems that many community members are very upset with the lack of transparency of the Navy shipyard cleanup. And how did you find out about the radioactivity at Hunters Point Shipyard?
I had a whistleblower call me.
Yeah.
Who knew that there was a problem there and wanted me to look at it. And the reason this whistleblower called me was because of some earlier work that I did on sort of watchdogging something called the Department of Toxic Substances Control, which is an arm of the California EPA that's supposed to, be closely overseeing cleanups around the state of toxics, and including radioactive materials, throughout the state and at military bases. And so I had done a big report on how this particular branch of the California EPA was really failing communities around the state, and this person had seen that report and wanted to let me know about what was going on at Hunters Point because he felt like I would be able to investigate it and that people might talk to me more openly than they would talk to, an official reporter.
People like Liza Tucker from Consumer Watchdog and Maria Harrison from Green Action are modern-day muckrakers tirelessly cleaning up Hunters Point.
I don't give up. I don't surrender, and we don't say quit.